Hello everyone, a grand welcome to you all to the Selenium online training class. I am Pratik, having 10 plus year of experience, and I have worked in various MNCs and product based companies. I have been teaching professional and I have already trained more than 200 plus professionals, and they have been placed in well-to-do companies, and even during this pandemic time they have been placed in top companies. Now coming to our course, what we will be covering and why you should do this course. So in this particular class we will be learning what is Selenium, why we should learn Selenium, what is the scope of Selenium, what is the opportunities of Selenium in the market, and what is the prerequisite you need to learn Selenium, and what is the syllabus we will be covering in our coming classes. So I am quite excited to interact with you all and hope it will be a very interactive session. Now, first come what is Selenium and why it is in demand. The first thing it comes, what is Selenium? Okay, Selenium is a automation tool used basically for UI automation. And why it is in demand? See, Selenium was already present from 2 decades, more than 2 decades it is present in the market. But why a sudden demand for Selenium came during this recent, you can say 5 to 6 years? Okay. First of all, it is an open source tool. Now, when it is an open source tool, let's say for example, there is a client and there are 2 companies. Okay, the client told, please automate my manual test scripts. One company told, I will automate it using a tool which is free of cost, and another company told, I will automate it using a tool which will cost you a license. So who the client will prefer? Obviously the company who do it with a free tool like Selenium. Okay, that is the first advantage of Selenium. Why it is in demand? Because it is an open source tool. You don't have to pay license for it. Okay, and second, the major factor why Selenium is in demand is all the project in the recent days are being moved to agile methodology. Earlier what happened, we were following waterfall methodology. Okay, in waterfall methodology what happens, like say for example a application have 2 functionality, functionality 1, functionality 2, functionality 3 and functionality 4. Okay, so what were happening in waterfall, the developer first develop all this functionality in one go. Okay, during this time period the tester had ideal, right, they don't have any work, so what they do, they have a plenty of time to design the test case, to modify the test case, to understand the functionality and so on. And after that what happens, like say for example the developer took 10 hours for designing this particular functionality, and then the tester again take more 10 hours to test these functionalities in a whole. Okay, then what happens, then again they find a bug, they tell the developer like this is a bug and they fix it, then again retest, and this go on. Okay, so this is a lengthy process and we have a lot of time, so we can do the testing manually. But what has happened nowadays in Agile is we have been divided our time frame into different release or sprints. Okay, let's say for example there we were developing the 4 functionality in one go, but now what is happening, we are developing functionality 1 in sprint 1, functionality 2 in sprint 2, functionality 3 in sprint 3 and functionality 4 in sprint 4. So what is the time period of this particular sprint? It varies from 1 week to 2 weeks. So there is, you cannot say there is a lengthy time period so we can go and do manual testing easily and come. No, in 2 weeks we have to complete the testing. That is a very short time frame. We have to design the test case, we have to do the testing, we have to report the bug, we have to get it fixed. So see the time frame, in short time frame we have to do all this activity. Okay, now let's say for example in sprint 1 came and functionality 1 got developed. Okay, so that is completely new for you. Okay, you did the functionality 1 manual testing, write the test case, okay, over, sprint 1 is over. now comes the question, when sprint 2 comes, you have to test the functionality 2 test cases. Okay, that you did manually, but what about functionality 1 test cases? Because if you are into testing, you must be knowing when you develop a new code, you have to check the existing code that it doesn't got impacted due to this new code. So in sprint 2, what I have to do? I have to test the functionality 2 test cases along with the functionality 1 test cases which was designed in sprint 1. Okay, so if you have not designed the automation test script for sprint 1 test cases and you sit and do the manual testing for sprint 1 test cases, your time will be over and you cannot test the sprint 2 functionality test cases. Okay. So what will happen if you do manual test casing? If you do manual testing, you will not be able to complete the regression testing as well as the current functionality testing, current release functionality testing. So what you have to do in this case, you have to design the automation script for the sprint 1 test cases, so that in sprint 2 you can test the sprint 2 functionality test cases manually and run the automation job for the sprint 1 regression test cases. Okay, so that you check the whole code so that no bug get missed. Let's say for example, you only do sprint 2 functionality test cases and didn't do the regression test case. So what will happen? A bug may get missed in the old code due to the development of new code, and it will appear in the production, and then you know what will happen if a bug goes into production without being tested in the tester level. Okay, so as we are shifting to agile, so automation is a must, and Selenium is a UI automation tool. So you can know like why the demand rose during this recent days. Although Selenium is present from more than 2 decades, why there was no such demand 10 year backs or 15 year backs? Because there were waterfall model we are following, but now due to agile we have limited time period, and to run the regression test cases we need automation testing mandatorily. We cannot do manual testing of those regression test cases. Okay, so that is why Selenium is in demand nowadays. Okay, now why choose Selenium as a carrier? Why not other technology? There are a lot of technology available in the market. Why I will choose Selenium as a carrier? Okay, see, to all the manual testers I must say, finding opportunities in manual testing is negligible in current market. No company will hire an experienced person having skill as only functional testing or manual testing. No company wants that. Okay, so if you say like I have the skill of manual testing and I will grow ahead in my career, it is not possible in current area, because the company even nowadays are not only looking for tester or automation tester, they are looking for SDETs. You must be seeing in the job advertisement which are coming up nowadays, they are writing we need SDETs, not automation tester or functional tester. So what does this SDET means? We need to understand it. SDET means software development engineer in test. So you are expected to be partly a developer, because what the company wants to hire nowadays is he must be knowing functional testing, he must be knowing UI automation testing, he must be knowing API automation testing, he must be knowing performance testing, he must be knowing everything as a tester, because the concept of testing has now changed. Now they are looking for someone who knows every kind of testing. Okay, so only manual testing will never help you in now days. Okay, and why Selenium? Out of those, why Selenium? Because if you know Selenium, you will get a lot of opportunities. Because first of all, coming to it, Selenium itself, let's say for example I want to learn some language which is paid. I cannot learn it, because even if they will be providing me the trial person, they will provide me for 30 days. After 30 days I have to pay, else I will not be able to learn that language. But that is not the case with Selenium, because we'll be learning Selenium with Java. Both Selenium and Java are open source. You can install it in your system, you can practice it in your system, you can learn it in your system. No one will charge a single rupee from you for that. Okay, so choosing Selenium to learn is also easy for you, because everything is free of cost. Both Selenium and Java, which we will be using, are all free of cost. Now coming to opportunities. See, in all the small companies which are not MNC, they mandatorily use Selenium for UI automation testing. They will never think of, you can say, a tool which is paid for UI automation, because small company 100% will use Selenium. And in MNC there are some project, you can say, who use paid tool for UI automation, but 90%, more than 90% of them will be using Selenium for UI automation testing. So see, if so much project are using Selenium, so obviously the openings for Selenium will be more, and the opportunity for Selenium will be more in the market. Okay, so that is the reason we must choose Selenium as a career. Okay, if you are a tester or you are from the testing background. Now arise the question, what are my prerequisites for learning Selenium? Okay, see, as we will be doing Selenium with Java, the knowledge of Java is required, but even if you don't have the knowledge of Java, we will be learning Java from scratch in our course. Okay, so even if you don't have the knowledge of Java or coding knowledge, you can learn it in our course, because we will be starting from zero. Even if no one have the coding knowledge, you will learn Java from here, you will have the coding knowledge from here, and using that coding knowledge you will be utilizing in Selenium and doing the automation script. Okay, now so there also arises a question, yeah, Selenium can only IT people learn, can non-IT people not learn Selenium? No, nothing is such that. See, as coding will be taught in the class, so coding knowledge is not required as a prerequisite. The only prerequisite you know or need to know is you know the concept of manual testing, how to test an application if you are given, what is regression testing, what is sanity testing, all these methodologies and all these terms you need to know. Even if you are not a non-IT background and never did testing in your lifetime, you can just go through the concept of manual testing in Google, or you can ask some of your tester friend. Just 2 to 3 hours you can dedicate and know what is manual testing and what are the methodologies you follow, how to write test case and all. Only this much minimum requirement you need to go through this course. Okay, if it was only Selenium, then you may have the prerequisite that you must know core Java, but as we are covering core Java in our course, so coding prerequisite is also not there. You can come from zero and learn everything in the course. Okay, now opportunities for Selenium. What is the proof that is opportunities for Selenium in this time? See, during this pandemic time, I have searched Selenium as a filter, and see, there are 4655 jobs available for Selenium even during this pandemic time. So see, if during this pandemic time this much opportunities are there in job portal, how much opportunities will be there if the situation is normal? So you can think like what is the demand of Selenium. Okay, so if you have the knowledge of Selenium and the skill of Selenium, you will never face any problem even if it is a pandemic time. You will have lot of opportunities in well-to-do companies. In big MNCs you will find opportunities. Okay, this is the search result I am showing you from your pandemic time search. Like during this pandemic time I searched using the Selenium filter, you see 4655 jobs are there. Okay, now what are the things we will be covering in our course? The first thing I'll be covering is the Java, because we'll be using Java as a programming language to learn Selenium. We'll be doing Selenium with Java because Selenium is open source and Java is open source. So first we'll be learning Java, then we'll be learning Selenium, then I'll be showing you basic frameworks and how to integrate with a real-time project, then we'll be learning Git, and then we'll be knowing how to integrate Git with Jenkins. These all will be covering in our course. Okay, so I hope we have a interactive section ahead, and thank you all. Have a nice